Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Topoco Lodge. May 12th is Mother's Day, and the best place to take Mom, the Topoco Lodge and the Topoco Tavern. Not only will she get flowers when she gets up there, but it is a river release weekend. That is a great place to go for the river release. Make it a special Mother's Day, a Mother's Day weekend to remember. Take her up to the Topoco Lodge, even if you just take her up for dinner at the Topoco Tavern. Topoco.com to learn more. That is a beautiful place. Your mom will love it. All right. We looked at defense earlier. Here are David Ubben's offensive projections. You can find this on The Athletic, which is well worth the money. You see Vanderbilt, well, there's the Tennessee starting lineup from November against Vanderbilt. The only changes really, and again, I'm sorry I didn't make the graphics, the color isn't different enough, but the only changes are along the offensive line. Right tackle, you're going from Drew Richmond to freshman Darnell Wright at some point. Jerome Carman at right guard, turning into Kieron Calvert, looks like. Center Ryan Johnson, you would anticipate Brandon Kennedy taking over there. Of course, he was injured in the first game last year. Jameer Johnson's the only guy you have holding down his spot at left guard. And then at left tackle, Marcus Tatum replaced by Wanye Morris. Everything else remains the same. So we're just talking about the offensive line, and I will simply say the offensive line wasn't good last year, so there's nowhere to go but up. But I don't know that you go up when you play two freshman tackles in the SEC. So, again, if we're saying appreciably better, and I've already said I think the record's going to be better this year, but I don't think offensively or defensively on paper it looks appreciably better. I just think you're going to have a little bit softer schedule. So I don't see it appreciably better on offense. Aside from one factor, and I'll leave that for you guys to throw out because I know where you're going to go. There's one factor that would make me feel better about the offense. It has nothing to do with anybody listening.
I think your biggest returning starter is your offensive coordinator.
Well, he's not a returning starter, though.
Well,
Your biggest newcomer is your offensive coordinator.
Well, he's returning. He was an offensive coordinator in the past.
Okay.
So
see, Josh, this is why you decide with it. Okay, go ahead.
Chuck's making a good point.
But I do think you're a good point. Cheney's the one thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that's not
And quite possibly Garantano with another year, and then he gets rated, very highly. And plus, the receivers are the strength of your team to me. So, yeah.
Should be.
Should be.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at last year. I mean, the play calling frustrated a lot of fans. I think you look at some of the things they did. They know they want to be a run-heavy team.
Play calling always frustrates.
Well, sure, but you look at it.
Always.
I mean, the South Carolina game was the only game where I felt like they really had things in a rhythm. I mean, the force-feeding the run, like, at some point you have to understand, like, the offensive line is not going to get it done. So the run, pass, I mean, we broke it down at the Athletic last year for a handful of games. The first down running, it was so predictable. I am not a defensive coordinator in the SEC, and I can see it coming. If I'm a defensive coordinator and they're loading up, I mean, it was so predictable. And
I think that had more to do with Pruitt than it did.
Well, exactly.
Probably so. I think you're probably
he'll
right.
turn that over to Cheney and stop that. Vince.
Yeah, I think that Cheney makes a big difference. Obviously, he's going to get the ball in the hands of the playmakers. He's going to have his playmakers on the field instead of on the bench, where you only have one good running back on the field at the same time. For years here at Tennessee, I think that will change. You'll see Chandler on the perimeter. He'll know how to use his playmakers. I just think there's a limitation. You have a ceiling on how much better it can get, even with Cheney there, because of the offensive line.
Yeah, and Josh, that's what comment on the offensive line. Your take there.
That's what it comes back to. The entire conversation in terms of potential, what the offense can be, because whether it's Helton or Cheney or Jeremy Pruitt involved or not, everybody's going to agree the offensive line has to be better. They've got to find their five, because I do think they believe they have more players to work with. They have more depth along the offensive line, and they have some talented guys coming in Morris and Darnell Wright this summer. But can they come together? Can they stay healthy? Can they be more forceful up front? If not, then all those skill players that you feel good around them, they're going to be limited in what they're able to accomplish.
And that's the one thing that worries me about. I think they'll get to 7 wins this year. That's what I said initially. 6 is probably more likely, but I said 7. The problem is, though, I'm doing that because I think their schedule is easier. Yeah. Where it gets easier is a little bit at the top. I think the trade out, even though you beat Auburn last year, I'd rather have Mississippi State this year with their new quarterback. I would rather have BYU than West Virginia. Now, by the time you're getting to those teams that are now in flux, Kentucky, Missouri, teams that have beaten you here at the end, Vanderbilt in recent years, your offensive line is going to be better, you would think. But I'm worried about having 2 freshman tackles out there against those 2 early teams that I think, okay, those are not going to be wins. BYU instead of West Virginia, I'll trade that as a win. Will it be if you've got twin freshman offensive tackles? That scares the hell out of me.
That BYU game's a big one.
Yes.
Yeah, because Tennessee's going to be the favorite at home and should be, but BYU's going to be confident that it can do what it did last year, win at Wisconsin, win at Neyland Stadium this year. And if Tennessee were to get upset there, that could be potentially disastrous. So that's one they need to be ready for.
All right. Very good, guys. When we come back, a pair of former Vols were in the news. Did one make the right move? And what happens if the other one did make the right move? I'll explain. Come on back.